Carbohydrates, what are they?
Fats, proteins, carbohydrates.
These are the essential building blocks to all of life. Without them, you would not be alive. So, how many of you know somebody who's been on a diet before? Right. So this is the idea we're talking about here. If you don't understand how these are working in your body, by detoxing, by doing diets, by doing supplements, or whatever it may be, you could be causing a whole lot more harm than good. So really it comes down to us just taking a little bit more control of our own health by getting a better idea of what these do in our body. And they all are doing phenomenal stuff. So the idea of fats. Anybody ever cook a plate of bacon before?
Yeah.
What happens to the oil 10 minutes after you're done? And what is that? Anybody know? Saturated fat. So the idea of getting very unhealthy fats, that process is saturation. So when we're eating a lot of saturated fats, that exact thing is happening inside our arteries, where it's starting to clog up. The next thing you know, you're having issues. So the idea is to get access to healthier fats, because healthier fats go such a long way with our metabolism, for one. The idea of our body temperature is regulated by the fats we bring in. The idea of brain function. Our brain is made up of 2/3 fat. How much?
2/3.
2/3 of our brain is made up of fat. So how we're able to function throughout the day goes such a long way with getting healthier fats. And those are the omega-3s, omega-6s. Things like nuts and seeds, different fruits and vegetables, avocados are a great source, different fish are all great sources of essential fatty acids. And we're going to have a couple examples of those. The second of the big three is, what is it?
Protein.
Protein. So the idea of proteins are made up of amino acids. And altogether there's 20. How many? 20 amino acids. Of the 20 amino acids, 11 of those we already produce inside our own bodies. How many?
11.
11 we already produce. Which means the other 9, how many?
9.
The other 9 are what we have to get from the foods that we eat. And the other 9, when we find them in a source that has all 9, it's called a complete protein. Like meat, for example, or eggs. So the big issues with having excessive amounts of meat and dairy and eggs, the problem with having too much protein is it becomes very acidic inside our bodies. So what we want to do is we want to find alternative sources besides always having meat and dairy for our protein sources. Now I call that the protein myth, the idea of me growing up all meat and potatoes. That's like, if I didn't have meat on my plate, where was my protein coming from? Can anybody relate to that idea? So it took me a little while to figure out that, yeah, there are some unbelievable sources of protein out there, complete proteins, that are easier to digest and assimilate inside our bodies, which is phenomenal stuff. And I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples. Has anybody ever heard of quinoa? What is it? Quinoa. What is it?
Quinoa.
Okay, yeah. It's an ancient grain, mostly out of Peru. But it's a complete protein, contains all the essential amino acids for building, repairing muscle. This stuff is phenomenal. It cooks just like rice, but takes about 10 minutes to do. What happens is after you cook it, a little white spiral pops out, and it's ready to go. Cool or cool?
Cool.
Super easy. So I'll pass that around and you have a look. As far as the rest of that goes, you'll notice, have a peek at the percentage of the iron content, the calcium, the good quality carbs we're going to talk about. So the other one is, my favorite food on the planet, besides cookies, is hemp seeds. Anybody ever heard of hemp seeds before? Hemp seeds are the #1 nutritional resource on the planet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it around. What you can do is just take a little scoop for yourself and try it. They're great to have. You don't have to have it. If you want to try it, feel free to try it. But complete protein, easy to digest. It's very nutty flavor. I sprinkle it in my cereal, in my soups, in my smoothies. You know, whatever I can do to get it into my daily routine, I do it. Cool or cool? So what you're getting out of that is a whole lot more in the way of power and nutrition that we don't normally get. So it's really important to start to think about how we can just include these little extra things in our daily routine and increase the nutritional value of whatever it is we're already eating. Okay, so that's proteins. Then we get to the last of the big three. What is it?
Carbs.
I can't hear you guys.
Carbs.
Okay. Or it could also be known as beer. Yeah. So carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are our main source of fuel. What are they?
Main source of fuel.
Right. So it's the main source of fuel because it converts into sugar faster than fats and proteins. So under carbohydrates, does anybody know that they have a pancreas, an organ in their bodies? It secretes a hormone. Anyone know what the hormone is? Insulin. What is it?
Insulin.
Insulin. So our pancreas secretes insulin, which transports glucose to create energy. So what's happening is when we eat carbohydrates, it right away transports into sugar in our body, and depending on what kind of carbohydrate determines whether it's a quick burst of energy in a crash or a long stream of energy. Right? So, to give you an example, there are 2 types of carbohydrates. How many types?
2.
2. Anyone know what they are?
Simple and complex.
Oh, they're on the sheet. So, simple and complex. The idea of simple carbohydrates. Now, I was known as the chocolate guy around my office back in the day. Anybody know a chocolate guy or a chocolate girl? So I would open up my drawer and I'd have a stack full. I'd have pretty much a vending machine in my drawer. And this was my main source, Snickers. Couldn't live without this stuff. So the idea is that you take a simple carb, you have a bite, boom, you get a quick burst of energy. Then you get that crash. Where for me, I have to keep eating this. And I keep doing this the whole day. Anybody familiar with that kind of feeling? Up and down all day? So the idea of those mid-afternoon crashes, anybody experience mid-afternoon crashes? Get very unproductive by noon or 1? That's the idea of simple carbohydrates. So what we want to do is we want to start looking for more complex carbs. Carbs that offer more nutrients and offer you a whole lot more nutritional value. Cool or cool?
Cool.
So one of those is the quinoa, the hemp seeds. I actually have my mom, and actually have a lot of students now, they have a bag they keep in their car wherever they go, and they just have a little spoon similar to that container, and every time they feel that freak out, or my mom's hypoglycemic, but on whatever level you need to get access to food, you take 1 scoop of that, and it's going to provide you with everything you need to keep you going. And I know that sounds kind of outrageous because portion size, many of us are very aware of North American portion size, the average, it's not this, it's this. So the idea is if you have the right nutrients in the foods you're choosing in a plate this big, that's all you need. Yes?
Is it super expensive?
No. You can get a pound of that, which is a bag this big, for $15, which as far as nutritional value goes, it's unbelievable.
And you haven't done anything with that, right? It's just
It's all natural, it's in its complete state, hasn't been altered, transformed.